All right, so if you're looking at your packet, at the very bottom, and the second part of the packet, you had slope was rise over run. If you're going from one point to another, you find your rise by subtracting your y's, and you find your x's by subtracting your x's. Okay? So far, you've done it in your head, like this. If this point is 1, 4, which you can't really read, I'm sorry. If this point is 1, 4, and this point is 5, 6, okay? How far up did you count to go like this? If you're going up, which part of the point is changing? The X or the Y? The Y. And so I went up apparently from 4 until I'm level with 6. Do y'all see that? So how many units did I go up? 2. And then apparently I went across how far?
4.
From 1 to 5.
Oh.
Okay, so I went 4.
Yeah.
You're right. All right, so what you could do is to always get your rise. What this notation means right here is say your second point minus your first point to see where you came from. So I'm going to say 2 minus, I'm going to say 6 minus 4, and then I'm going to say 5 minus 1. Watch my hands. Y'all know this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis, right? Slope's always about rise over run. I put my hands in the air, and for if Bailey's looking at it at home.
Does it matter if you do like y1 minus y2?
I'm going to get to that, Marie, and it doesn't. Good question. Okay? Y'all know this is like the y-axis, and that's like the x-axis. You do need to do rise over run to get the right slope. And again, people talk about slopes when they're building roads, when they're building ski slopes, when they're doing all sorts of stuff. We really need to know the slope. See, have you ever been on one of those roads where they have a warning symbol for trucks that it's going to be too steep for them to go down? You'll see them now that I mentioned it. Sometimes there's a yellow sign, and it's actually got a picture of a truck on a slope that tells them to detour because they're too heavy. They'll be going too fast because the slope is so steep. They need to go somewhere else, and you don't want to be on the road with them if they start losing control. So that's a steep slope. On roads, they also call it grade. But whenever anybody in the real world talks about slope, they're talking about rise over run. Okay? So remember, rise is, look at this, the difference in your y's. And run, do you see, would be the difference in your x's. Okay? What's the word difference mean in math? Is subtract. All right, now let's talk about what Marie said, because this is saying basically take the first point from the second point. But when I give you 2 points, 1, 4, and 5, 6 with no picture, Evelyn might think of 5, 6 as the second point, and somebody else might think of 1, 4 as the second point. Girls, all I got right here is 2 points, okay? So Marika could subtract them in one order, and Evelyn could subtract them in the other order, and they will get the same answer. So are y'all listening? It's a great question. All you have to do is subtract 1 point from the other. I don't care which one you call the first and the second. In fact, you might have 10 points. Do you have to do it with all 10? No. Okay? Because they're all on the same line, they should all have the same slope. You've seen me do that a few times now, right? Up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over. So like Susan could pick the first one and the 10th one. And Claire could pick the second one and the 5th one. And Rebecca could pick the second one and the 3rd one. You should all get the same slope because they're on the same line. That's what makes it be a line. Lines have the same slope. Other graphs have slope, and nobody told me this in Algebra 2. So it was kind of a rude awakening and kind of jerked me around a little bit in calculus, and I don't want that to happen to you, okay? Would y'all agree that this also has slope? I mean, if I'm talking about riding my bike in Central Park, I would have to go up Harlem Hill or Cat Hill, whichever you've been in the park, and then you get to ride down, okay? Those are slopes. But does this all have the same slope? What if I pick these 2 points and I'm riding my bike right here? It's pretty steep. But what happens over here between these 2 points?
That's a different.
It's a different slope. So there are other equations that have slopes plural. Do y'all see what I mean? Okay? The only thing that actually every point has the same slope is a line. And good news is, in Algebra 2, in Geometry, and in Pre-Calculus, you don't have to worry about all the other ones. If a teacher's talking about slope in those classes, they're talking about a line. Where it doesn't matter if I'm riding my bike here, or here, or here. I'm on the same slope. Okay? Do y'all see what I mean? But I just wanted to give you a window into what's coming down the road. All right, now I'm going to go back and work this problem and show you what I'm talking about. All right, so suppose I think of this as my first point, and this is my second point. And if you memorize this, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, it doesn't matter. All this is trying to say is subtract the first point from the second point. Okay? So, and you've got to be consistent. If I decide to start with this one, and I say 6 minus 4, when I say it doesn't matter which point you use first, you better stick with the one you chose or you're going to miss it. So once I've chosen 6 minus 4, I have to go to 5 minus 1. Do y'all see what I mean? 6 minus 4, 5 minus 1. So that slope is 2/4, and you would reduce that to 1/2. All right, what if somebody did it the other way and said, well, I want to start with this point, green to green, okay? So they would start here, and they would say 4 minus 6. If they started with 4, what do they have to go back to x minus x? The 1. 1 minus 5. All right, what's 4 minus 6? Negative 2. 1 minus 5. What's a negative over a negative? Same answer. Do y'all see what I mean? Okay, now questions. Marie?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, so that was your question, and you were right. It doesn't matter which one I start with.
Yeah.
Or if you have a list of points,
I always put it as like, if you have the 2 points, I always just mark it as x and y, like 1 would be x and 4 would be y, and then you do the same thing for 5 and 6, so I don't get confused with the
okay, so let's look at that. All right, so x and y, x and y.
Yeah.
So she knows she's going to say y minus y, and then x minus x, okay? Marie, we could even go so far, you don't have to do this, but you know, you could even label, as you get into upper level mathematics, sometimes we use subscripts so that I can actually talk to you about the second point. But that's not necessary, okay? But y'all, I always want you to be sure that you know what the formula means on your sheet of paper. All right, other questions? Okay, if you have a long list of points, pick any 2. You're on a line, you'll all get the same slope, okay? All right, so that's the bottom. M is slope, x1, y1 are coordinates to the first point, and x2, y2 are the coordinates to the second point. And by the way, and just listen to Marie, there are, some of you are saying in your course surveys that you feel like that you can move at a faster pace. And I can see that you already like remember, you know, a lot of this or have learned it in another class. It's so important. I'd hit it again in Algebra 2 no matter what. The regular Algebra 2 class was like Ms. Arkan's doing lines. Everybody's going to have to hit it again at some point. But if you want some challenge stuff, I'll try to remember just to post challenge problems if you wanted to try to move faster, or give you assignments ahead of time, so we could look at that second semester and see how that works for you. I know the surveys were anonymous, so I don't know who was saying what, but I do read them and take that into account. I'm going to tell you there's nothing I can do about how fast I move, though, because it's pretty much mandated by Marymount assigning me this course, because my job is to make sure that I'm bringing everybody along. That's why we're here. Within reason. So if it's easy for you, ask for challenging problems or use your extra time to focus on something else that's maybe more challenging, I'll be glad to provide it to you. Okay, now at the top of the page, there's 3 forms of a line. So let's do this. I'm going to take 2 points, -1, 3, and 3, 11. Okay? Now I'm not only going to find the slope, I'm going to write the equation of the line. Okay? So I'm going to say y2 minus, I'm going to subtract my y's. So I'm going to say 11 minus 3. And then I'm going to say 3, be careful, minus -1. Are y'all okay with that? Okay? What's 11 minus 3? 8. And 3 minus -1? 4. So the slope is 2. Everybody with me? All right, now let's go to slope-intercept form. The first thing on your page says y equals mx plus b. What letter did I just find in that whole scenario? Y, X, M, or B? Ayana? M is the slope. Okay? Which is written in the middle of your page. So Yana and I can go y equals mx plus b. Who remembers what b is? It kind of says it on the sheet here. Your name just flew out of my head, Ella.
The y-intercept.
The y-intercept. I don't see a graph, so I can't see the y-intercept, right? I don't know b yet. And up until now, everything I've shown you, we could just look and see b. Granted, I could probably graph these like this. -1, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But am I really sure what the y-intercept is if I just connect those 2 dots? Maybe on graph paper with a straight edge, I might could pull it off, but I'm not sure. So right now, I'm not sure what B is. I could kind of estimate it. I'm so hot in this sparkly sweater. It's like having on a piece of aluminum foil. You gonna try to cool it off again? Let me drink some water.
It was working before, but I don't know.
I'm literally sweating. Okay. So do y'all see that I don't know B, but I do know X and Y? As Marie said earlier, isn't that an X and Y and that an X and Y? And once again, it doesn't matter which one you use. On test day, somebody could use this one. Your friend could use that one. You'll get the exact same answer. Don't do both. I'm going to do both to show you that it works, okay? So if Eliza's like, I want to use -1, 3. Marie, that's X and Y, right? Okay, like she said, she labels them. So what can I put in for Y if I'm using the red point? 3. We already said 2 was M. What's X if I chose 3? -1 plus B. 3 equals negative, thank you so much, Gabby. 3 equals -2 plus B. So what is B? B is 5. Okay? Hey, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I kind of got sort of in there, but not very well. All right, so the equation of my line, I would go back and write as y equals 2x plus 5. Let's put it in Desmos. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so y equals 2x plus 5. All right, so the y-intercept's 5. Watch can y'all see the point up there? It does go through 311 and negative. It's hard to land right on it. Here. All right, so do you see it does have a y-intercept of 5. It does go through -1, 3. But to do today's activity, you must be able to draw this line, and you'll actually, your line on your activity, you'll have to go through something to kind of pick it up like a video game. It won't be near that much fun. I made that sound really fun. Go ahead.
So, why wouldn't the y-intercept be
because y-intercept is what happens when x is 0. Look at this, Yana. That is definitely not on the y-axis. That is not. It's a literal term, y-intercept. Like here, watch my figure. Everybody tell me when I do an x-intercept, okay? Are y'all ready? Tell me when I do an x-intercept. I just intercepted the x-axis. Tell me when I do a y-intercept. That's the y-intercept. That's where that line intercepts the y-axis. It's right there. That's not a y-intercept. A y-intercept's going to always have what as x?
0.
Gabby?
0.
A y-intercept better always have x as 0. So watch out on test. If I give you 2 points and one of them 0 comma something, guess what I've just given you? I flat out gave you the y-intercept. Okay? Do you see the greens laying on the y-axis? Okay. All right, so now let's go to point slope form. In my calculus class, I use point slope form exclusively. Okay? So there's different forms. It's like this. Already you're taking standardized tests. Soon you might apply for, some people apply for citizenship. Some people have to go get passport. I don't know why that also flew out of my mind. I guess I need more coffee. Some people apply for a passport. When I sign up for like a new, like if there's a race I want to run, I was just signing myself and a friend up for one coming up in February, and I have to look and see what form they want my name in. Have you ever just not looked and you're typing in like Margot McKinnon and you realize it really said last first and not first last? There's times that my name's Becky Lazari, but my given name, my legal name's Rebecca, like yours. And so when I'm using my Visa card online and it asks for my name, you know, I guess y'all know enough to know it's going to check and make sure everything matches up, or it'll spit it out and won't let me buy something. So I have to put in my legal name. Do y'all see there's many forms of my name? You call me Miss Lazari. If I fill out a form, I might have to go Lazari, Rebecca. Another form, I have to go Rebecca Lazari on Amazon. So there's all different forms, but it's the same me. Same with the lines. There's different ways to write a line. It's all the same line, okay? I love this form. Let me do it. Okay, so let's go back. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me do this real quickly. Okay? I'm going to erase this. So everybody look up here. And our answer is going to be in blue. That was the answer that we got when we chose this point. Okay? Let's go back in red and choose this point. I'm going to y equals mx plus b. What is y in that point? 11. M we already found was 2. What's x? 3 plus b. So I have 11 equals 6 plus b. What is b? 5. So now the person knows the slope and the y-intercept. All right? So it doesn't matter what point you use. You have to use 2 points to find the slope. And Danielle or Ella, yeah, there's no reason to have a computer open so at all today that I know of. So you can tell me if I'm wrong. Susan?
Oh, so how exactly, like, do we graph it? Like 2x?
Okay, by now if I say graph it, you have some options.
Okay.
Okay, so Susan, one option is to go to -1, 3 and put a dot, and then go to 3, 11 and put a dot, and like as straight as you can connect those dots. Okay?
But how does
Another person might graph it this way.
Yeah, I was about to ask.
All right, the y-intercept is 5, and the slope is 2. Now, how in the world do I get a rise over run out of 2, Marie?
So if your slope is 2, then you have to imagine there's an imaginary
Not imaginary, you just don't see it. It's invisible. So I'm sorry, there's such a thing as imaginary numbers. That's why I'll show you those later. So that's why I was being kind of clear about that. 8 is actually 8 divided by 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so right, Marie, we need a rise over run. So Susan, back to this. If I wanted to graph it using this, okay? We could go to our y-intercept 5, and then we could go up 2 and over 1. So from this dot, I'm going to go up 2 and over 1 and look at what this student gets, the same line. So it's a great question. On the test, if I say find the equation of the line and graph the line, I'm not going to really know if you did it from your points or your equation. Okay? Everybody okay with that? Great questions, girls. All right, now watch this. Help me remember my points. -1, 3, and 3, 11. All right, so I'm going to -1, 3, and 3, 11. All right, now I'm using this formula. I'll look at point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. As we go through lines and something called quadratics, you're going to want to go stop with the formulas, okay? But I can't. We're in math. But like this one, I kind of had trouble remembering it until I realized, look at the middle of your page. Do y'all see this? M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Everybody's heard of cross multiplying. To get this fancy formula, it's not so fancy. All someone did was they cross multiplied. That gives you y minus y, and that gives you m times x minus x. It's just the slope formula rearranged. Like if I divide this by x minus x, do you see I go back to the slope formula? Okay? Anyway, here's a second formula. Y minus y equals m times x minus x. Now all of a sudden you're having to understand symbols and notations. And let me write it a little bit better because this is super important. Claire, did you have a question a while back?
Oh, I was just gonna ask when would a good time to get one.
There's probably not a good time. And so but you know where I am in the video, so you could like go to that part and watch a little bit while you're gone later on. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be as good a time as any. Okay, so you'll memorize all of these for the next test, okay? Y equals mx plus b. You could also write it like this. I use this almost exclusively in calculus. I really don't use y equals mx plus b very much. I will admit that up until calculus, a lot of times you use slope-intercept form. Right now I'm doing point-slope form, okay? Now, let's look at the notation. How many points do I really need for this one? Danielle?
2.
Well, do you see how this doesn't have a subscript? Okay, you're going to leave these letters in there. You want y's and x's in there. So this means you only need 1 point, whichever one you think is the first point.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I meant 1 point,
Okay.
like 2 numbers.
I am going to need them both to find the slope. Do y'all agree with that? All right, so to find m, like Yana said, m is slope. I'm going to say y minus y over x minus x. I get 8 over 4, which we knew was 2 because I'm on the same line. Okay? So now I'm going to come down here and fill in 2. So I'm going to say y minus y equals m times parentheses x minus x. What this formula is trying to get you to do is pick a point and fill it in. Do you think it matters which one I pick?
No.
Doesn't matter. Sarah, do you have a question?
Oh yeah, that was my question.
All right, so Sarah, pick one.
3 what's that?
11. 3, 11? Okay. What do I put right here? The 3 or the 11? Follow your variable.
The 11.
11. And what do I put right here?
The 3.
The 3. Okay? I'm going to type that into Desmos. Watch. y minus 11 equals 2 times x minus 3. Watch me turn this. Same line, right? It looks like a completely different equation, but it's the same line. Now, in calculus, we actually leave it this way. Okay? Because now we actually got the equation of a line. And your algebra and pre-cal and like looking up answers on Delta Math or something, they probably want you to solve for y. So let's continue on. Y minus 11, I'm going to distribute 2x minus 6. And then how do you solve for y? Margot? Add 11. So I get y equals 2x plus 5. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. I just got the same thing I got with slope-intercept form. Okay? So this is point-slope form. All right? And we'll tackle standard form after Christmas. But when we do it, guess what's going to happen? Same line. Okay? Girls, to get you to not have to memorize so much, I always try for critical thinking, logical understanding. Y equals mx plus b. Do y'all see why this is called slope-intercept form? Okay, let's go back to Yana's question. If I fill in 0 for x, Gabby, you said the y-intercept would always have 0 for x, right? Because if there's an axis and we want the y-intercept, tell me when I get it. It was back here, wasn't it? It's when x is 0. So if x is 0, that's going to disappear. And you see you're just going to have your y-intercept? Okay. So do y'all see why that's called slope-intercept form? You can see your slope, you can see your intercept. That was the easiest, like Susan, where we went to the y-intercept and then rise over run. We can graph it fast. Do y'all see why this one is called point-slope form? It's very common sense so that you don't have to memorize too much. Do y'all see you have a point and a slope? For this one, you need the slope and the y-intercept. For this one, you need a point, any point, and the slope. Okay? And worry about the other one later. All right, now, and we'll probably just revisit this packet. We haven't done any of it, have we? Let's see if there's any of it I even want to do. Not right now, just based on how they worded it. So we'll work on this right after Christmas. Don't lose it. That's your Christmas homework. All right, so let me show you what little 2 fun things we're going to do today. You can keep that out to refer to the front page if you need to. Keep the packet. Yeah. Till after break. Keep the packet. We're not going to do any more of it today, but you might just want it out for your formulas. Okay? Unless you want to do it during break, because some of you could probably do it. Let me kind of quiz you. Like, do you remember what happens with parallel lines? But they have the what slope? It's good. Same slope. Perpendicular lines? Opposite reciprocals. So that part will go pretty fast, which is like, we'll just review that and have a test, okay? All right, so maybe you can use that to your advantage here. All right, is everybody watching? All right, we're going to do this fun game. All right, y'all are going to help me with ideas, and then you're going to do something on your own. So pay close attention. You ready? All right, I only get to change one number. I think the slope looks pretty good. Like right now, if I launch it, the slope looks pretty good, but my y-intercept. Right, that's what I heard people saying. That's what I'm trying to do. Change the 1 to what? Let's try -2. All right, so you girls knew, this really makes you know math because you got to think about your y-intercept, right? Okay, so I think this is going to get it, don't y'all? Okay. All right, so change one number. What are we going to have to change now?
You have to change slope.
The slope. It doesn't matter where I move this up and down. I've got to tilt it. Now, right now, the slope is like 4/1, like Marie was saying about the invisible number. Grazia?
I think it should be 1/2.
Let's try 1/2. Not 12. 1, half. Oh, that's great. If it wasn't quite, she could tilt it a little more, make the number smaller, makes your slope more level. Great, Grazia. Okay. All right, this, girls, is something I'll teach you later called a piecewise function. Do you see a piecewise function enables you just to get a piece of a graph? All right, now let's see. Do y'all see it's only graphed when x is less than 4? Okay. Let's see what's going to happen to our marbles. So what can I do with that one? Marie?
Yeah, change. Well, I think it says it.
You can change how long the piece is.
Yeah, I think that's
Rebecca?
what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
How long do we want this piece to be?
I'd say like to 5 or 6.
Okay, and y'all will write these later on. You'll do that. Have y'all seen what some of the other classes made that coloring book?
Yeah.
We're going to do something like that ourselves. It'll be really fun, but you've got to know all of this. So I need to know how to find a piece of a graph. Where do we want to go? Less than what? It was less than 4.
I think it needs to be less than 5. I'd say less than 6.
Less than 6? Let's see if the marbles shoot out far enough. Got it. Okay. All right.
You have to change. Just to make it shorter.
I'm going to make this shorter. So I'm going to go x is greater than like, let's see what happens. I don't think it's going to hit both of those.
That's 2. Yeah.
I got to make another line, okay? It also looks like I need to,
You need to
cut
make
that
it
off.
10.
do y'all think parallel?
Yeah.
All right, y is equal to 1/2 x, what?
Maybe 4.
Good, Daniela, plus 4. Think about your y-intercept.
My bad. Plus 3. Maybe 3.2.
Okay. I don't think, by the way it drops off, I don't think we need to make this a piece of a graph. We can just have the whole red one. Okay.
That's not good.
All right. So let's go x is greater than
10.
10.
Yeah, that's
Ooh. Do you think that's long enough?
No, maybe 9.
9?
Yeah, that works.
Kind of like shooting pool. Ah.
Okay, maybe 10 was right.
I think it's 7.
Can you put it as 8?
Try 10. Oh.
7 or 6.
You know
Oh,
what?
I think I need to go back the other way.
Okay. Try 10.
Because it's going over that one. I think I need to go back. Let's try 10.
I think that would work. Would that? Oh my god.
There you go.
I was first.
Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to get like a goofy little fun project with toys on it. Okay? But it'll be fun. All right. Now, these are the rules. I don't know if you even know how to do a vertical line and a horizontal line. Watch this.
It's x equals and y equals.
Thank you so much, Gabby. You're not allowed to do vertical and horizontal lines.
Oh.
Okay? Your job is going to be this. You're going to have fun little toys that you want to grab. Okay? So let me get rid of this. Okay. So say that this is a truck and you really want that truck. You're going to have to write some kind of line to go through that truck. And you can use either form that you want to. Okay? Point interslope form might be best. I can go y minus 3. Do y'all see the y coordinate? Equals, let's say 2 times x minus negative 1. What's minus negative 1? Plus 1. And you see, that's one way you can drive it through. Another way you could think of is this. Okay? You could say, you could kind of play around with the line like y equals 2x. But am I going to get the toy?
No.
So you might go plus what? 3, am I going to get the toy? Plus 4, am I going to get the toy? Okay? You've got to go right through the toy. All right? So do both pages. One, you're given the equations just to kind of practice and make sure they go through the toy. And then the other one, you've got to make up equations. You can do this by yourself or with a friend.
Are we still hot?
I'll check it. You just start. All right, both pages for the optional fifth grade. Yeah, I'll talk about that. Bonus yeah, similar to that.
Me too.
The first one should just work and to give you ideas of how to do the second one.
This is Mary. For the one with the equations, do you write the toy when you get, or?
Well, you draw the line and you got a toy, that's what I want to see.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great, like ball, bear, soldier, car. Thank you, Debbie, that'll give me a way to grade it.
I just want to
I don't see it.
Yeah, and then I guess break down. So I did.
I don't know where the rest of oh, I know what I did. I only made 4 copies.
Yeah.
Because my pre-cal class has so, why do y'all get in pairs?
Where are you doing?
Because one you get one you're doing the interest and one you like. So you do this one first and see if you get the two. No, that's alright, I'm gonna take this. Only that should not show. Everybody pause for a minute, sorry, y'all want to be a part. I'm about to do this. Do you have two equations? Trade. Just a minute, y'all, let me get everybody set. Okay. So, alright. No. That's kind of my fault then. John? Claire, jump up and join your group because then I'm making up copies. I can't count. I did 10 and I said 6. Are y'all good? You can join your group and do it by yourself. You do just I gave you the equations, and you should just do practice.
We know it's okay.
And then that sort of gives you an idea of how to write it. So here you Oh, there, you need to be sitting down and working.
I have a question.
Just a minute. Hey girls, on the first one, I think a lot of y'all know y equals 2. Looks like that. This is what you'll do. Gabby, just a minute. I'll move out of the way so I can talk, because to get the grade, what you have to do is this. The very first one is y equals 2. If you do it right, it goes through the horse. So next to y equals 2, write down the word horse. So you'll actually draw it on your graph. You'll have a lot of lines, but you write down ball, soldier, horse. Please write all the people that are really participating in your group. If they're not participating, don't write their name down. Your group of 4, I think you're all going to work, but if they're not, then they can't have the extra grade, okay? You've got to be having your input. We have a nice little fire in the room. Oh, sorry, I didn't know that's what Alright, so then y'all have well, that's why I said Claire comes here. Because she's Hey girls, when you write your own, you are not allowed to do any x equals and y equals. You have to do slanted on the second page. Because you can knock them all out with x equals and y equals, okay?
I thought it slided for a second.
No.
And then the second question.
Oh, sorry.
It's just that. Are we doing like 0 minus x was
Do this one first. Negative 33 goes to each quadrant. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll fill in the I'm still not feeling it. You gotta find that point. Yeah, right now your zero's not gonna work. You get 0 negative 32. So what if you put in 5?
We need to solve this one.
Or let's go out 10. What if you put in 10? Alright, so you know you're looking at 10 negative 2. And then you've got our other negative 4, and the slope is 3 over 100. Let's do this, let's put in 6. Let's put in 24 minus 32. Negative 6. All 4, 6. Put a dot on negative 6. And then what's your slope? You're at 8 negative 6. So now it's right down to go up. Negative 6 and over 1. Oh, 24 minus 32 is 8. You're right on that. You got your slope on it. Now you go up 1, 2, 3. So that's 1, so it's going to be way down.
very helpful.
Hey girls, I'm getting a lot of questions right away
Sorry.
on this. And it has to be done a certain way for your grade. Everybody pause. You run really fast into all these toys you have, okay? One of your equations is 3x minus 32. Listen, girls. Yes. Your y-intercept is negative 32, which is not on this graph. So you've got to find a point that is on that graph. You know how to find points. Like, for instance, if I fill in 4 for x, that gives me 3 times 4 is what? 12 minus 32 is negative 20. I'm still not on that graph. So I'm going to put in a bigger number out here like 8. What's 3 times 8? was 24 minus 32? Negative 8. So I get negative 8. And then what's my slope? Up 3 and over 1. Girls, you should be able to fill in and find a point. This one, 3x minus 32. Call me over if your group has a question.
3 times 8 is 24.
That's what I just said. I'll stay.
13 is under here. 13 is up here, not down here.
No, you already got there.
Yeah, you touched the thing.
Now, you gotta fill in a big number to make it
Are you sure? Yeah.
like 8 on 4.
This is why we're supposed to be counting off from here. It's the basketball.
But this one's different though. You start at
How do you know? Because like the last would be like every
Hey Sarah. Which one did you have to bear to? So now we're looking at the bear.
We just solved this one.
Plug in a random number. Okay, so you plug in 8, like 8 is 24.
I'm just joking.
I think it is. So you have 25.
I'm joking. Watch.
This one, I think negative 32 is
Basketball.
I'm just joking.
Oh, I just went over to the left. Okay, guys. This is a photo or a
She
Oh, yeah, you can't do it. I have
Oh, that? Healing up.
We took my in our house. You are?
It'd be like you use one of the points, right? Like, which is I'm just putting in X's and then solving lines. We don't have to
Oh, I thought we can't just use No, that's why you can't do that.
No, I know. You have to find your point.
See, that's,
Oh, that means that you can go down one or higher. 13 is minus X. So that's
So this is one
I'm thinking open that because it'll be like
You should do all the other ones. You should go and the fraction one. I know it.
Oh yeah, stay
Are you supposed to still
She's not.
I don't want to use it.
Yeah, she's.
Yeah, so.
I want to it's with the also twins. It's like they have to like their parents got to like they go to parents to go to parents whatever. But they have to I don't know, it's like kind of does.
-7.
I decided that it's starting points
You filled in -7 for X. And you get 6 for Y. Are you okay with that?
It's 2.
You filled in -7, what's -7?
Oh, that's still you go down.
That's how you find a point. What did you have? Y equals -7.
Oh wait, that's not gonna help you because the vote.
Y equals.
No, it is 1. Could be. Oh yeah.
What's the -7? Oh, no. Okay, so here's the bottom. And now what's your split? 1.
Yeah. We don't.
That's where you go up 1.
I know you can do this.
Oh, right here? Okay, so there's lots of things you could fill in. A line now filled in -2. You filled in
Go to the view menu and choose.
I had another student that was
Anyway,
This is the
Oh, Okay, so I was gonna go into kilometers and because that's what I yeah, so I was gonna go into like slopes, which my right, so I'm thinking pretty good notes now, so that because I actually and I was like 4, and I'm like, oh, no. Or are they not even
Can we write it wide with energy?
You can write any
Okay. Then I start this. You want to do this? Okay. But the problem is, I don't know where to start with the. I don't know where to start with the. Can I start anywhere? Oh, this way. Yeah, but like if it
But
does.
it's good to investigate it.
So if I wanted to, can I start just so I can make it wide?
Okay, thank you. Because I was thinking about it, I was like looking at it, I'm like, wait, does this mean I have to use
Okay,
like,
so wait, it was
I don't like that. No, but like no one likes that one.
I love it.
I hate it. With a passion.
You're about to love it.
I will learn to.
It's up 7. Or so it's 7.
I just started filling in. I decided to fill in fast. And I had to find something. And that's the building that landed right here. And then my slope is 3. So I got 1, 2, 3. And here, it's like the bar is -7. That's 13 off of there. Someone else. You gotta get yourself on that.
Okay, so you can just use 2. I'm doing it for yeah. Oh, that makes so much more sense.
I'll do it up here. You keep working. I'm sorry, I'm just going all around them.
You just leave it on the phone. We're putting it in there, we're and then do any yeah. Write it out. One. And then you can do this for the other one. Those are okay. Why are you doing this?
Oh, you can show one forever, right?
Well, and it works to the side, yeah. Thanks, Julian.
Yeah, from, yeah.
No, I just.
So we found a point where the end was. I just started filling that up so I could make myself.
Wait, why don't you point?
So I kept going. I decided.
Why don't we do two? Why don't we do down two?
Well, that's also policy.
So fill in 10.
Let me put it in this number.
Because 10's on the screen.
You can do the next one.
Okay. Minus 32.
Do something complicated.
Anything else?
Yeah. Those two are 9 or 8.
You need an extra. Oh, I'm so excited. Julian, is it bad that I like this form better? It's simpler. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to solve. I really thought you had to solve this. Right now,
I think down two.
I've seen them before. Thank you.
I think next to our fire would be interesting.
Okay, and I'll put on last
Yeah.
week.
And then the window.
This is the window.
Oh,
And this is the
welcoming
to me.
Like 13's not.
Love that.
It means like welcoming you.
Down one.
Army.
Down two.
I'm so bad.
No, I never.
It's so cute. So cute.
Like 30.
30?
Like I was like clips.
It's 30?
I own it on iTunes. Army is like
So -3.
He's cute.
they have
Oh,
out
Well,
together.
it's supposed
He
to,
looks
it's supposed to be like, you know, like he's older.
Yeah, it does.
They do more.
We saw it. I'd rather have a look at
Alright, what do you do?
I watched it.
Oh.
They're so cute.
So like if you're
But I was like,
fold
there's no way.
if you're just this fold down.
If you'd be so low, see like actors from the tree.
With fire.
Oh,
Huh?
Just saying it over.
Yeah, on a new one.
Okay, girls, listen, to what to do. It's time to go. Listen. Okay. This is what has to be turned into me if you want credit. And you have until tomorrow, by the end of the day. Okay? If you want to take it home and work on it tonight. But do not work on it. I mean, just be in all honesty, don't work on it with someone else. Work on it with me or someone in your class, not your tutor, not your father. Just so that you're really learning. This is what Susan just did. She wrote the equation of where she found the bear. Susan got it at 3/5 x plus 4. Yours doesn't have to be hers. But you see, to turn it into me, you'll tell me how you found the car, the ball, the whatever. Well, you can turn in, this is the second page where you're writing your own equations.
No.
What?
No.
Susan's doing it differently from yours.
Okay.
There's a billion equations you could write in here to pick up that bear. I'll just check the one you give me. So you can turn it in today, put it on my desk this afternoon with your name on it. I will go make some more. Are you through?
Yeah.
You sure you got all of them?
I think this page is good.
Oh, turn in both pages tomorrow. Oh, everything's done. Okay, that's fine. You can leave it with me.
You have to put the lines for both of them, and then, like,
Have you still been?
I have to see lines on both of them. You can turn it in tomorrow. And I can help you with it.
I did this, and I also got this one, and I had the lines, I just didn't put them.
I need to see the lines like this.
Alright.
Okay?
For this, Mrs. Larry.
I'm done, Mrs. Aaron.
Hang on. Let me.
Oh, wait, you have to draw lines?
You have to draw lines. I have to see the lines. Gotta see the lines.
Wait, I think I may have done those same
Oh, wait,
stuff
girls. No vertical lines. No verticals. That's too easy. You can knock them.
No, they're vertical.
And no. Oh, I'm sorry. The ones you wrote are not. Never mind. You're good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
For this one,
All right, pick a number.
2.
All right, so